welcome back to another episode of Rugby with Pads and the finale in our Around the League series. Today we're going to look at the Western divisions, of course. We've already done the North, which was done in a bit of a longer form. We set up the conceit of all this. We did the East, which was a fantastic theory, a fantastic set of teams to do because they're good players in the East. They really are. The South, however, disappointed manically, so badly, and we skipped our way through that. We bared our teeth, grin and bear it, and it did not feel like a fantastic series of teams to review there. But we are going to land in the land of the West. 8 teams that I think are interesting, or at least 5 teams out of those 8 that I think are interesting at the very least. So without further ado, let's skip in and take a look, shall we? And we're going to start with a team that was destined for greatness last year, but was tremendously, humongously. I think I'm making up words as I'm going along here. Disappointing in the Denver Broncos, and Russell Wilson was the key part of that. And maybe it was Russell Wilson, Nathaniel Hackett. Nathaniel Hackett's gone. New set of offensive coordinators, all that fun stuff. Will Russell Wilson be good again? It's questionable. Elsewhere, at running back, I'm still not sure who's going to be the number one here. All signs point to Javonte Williams, but he was really badly injured last year, and they did bring in some RJP Ryan to be that pass catcher. You know, as we had with Joe Mixon and him last year. Interesting to see where that goes up, but I'm not ponying up for any of these, especially early on in the season. And likewise, wide receiver, where do you go? Jerry Jeudy, okay, he's got a lot of draft capital behind him. He was a number 8 overall pick, I think, a few years ago. Let's have a quick look. 15. Just got it wrong. Cortland Sutton with a second round pick. Cortland Sutton should be good as well. All signs point to that, but none of them have really come out of the shells. And I think maybe that's because Russell Wilson was so terrible last year. But they did bring in Marvin Mims to see if he would take up the mantle. But I think it's a bunch of guys who can play, but maybe aren't going to play fantastically for fantasy. If I was to pick any of them, I'd say Cortland Sutton has all the tools behind him. Just maybe hasn't got the opportunity. I don't want him to become the next Allen Robinson. Greg Dulcich was a nice surprise last year. Was he a rookie? I think he was a rookie. He was a 3rd round rookie. He played really well last year, and if you had him, you were pretty happy. Albert O disappointed, but they have brought in Adam Troutman to come along with Sean. Oh, I've forgotten his name now. Sean Payton. He's come along for a 7th round trade pick or something like that. But yeah, Adam Troutman had all the. He was the bright shining star of the 2020 draft or whatever it was at tight end. Let's see when he was drafted. I think it was either 2020 or 2021. He was a 3rd round pick in 2020. Everyone had really high hopes for him at the Saints. Just didn't live up to it. Outside of a couple of splashes, the Denver Broncos will be okay. I think. I don't think it's anything too fantastic. Defense is going to be great. I think that Brandon McManus will kick bombs, and they're at mile high, so he'll kick them bombs in quite thin air. So they're going to go far. They're only good bombs, but they're going to be very long bombs. I don't know why I've spent so long talking about kicking. Let's move on to a team we know is good in the Kansas City Chiefs. You know what? You want part of the Chiefs no matter what. Mahomes is going to be QB 1 or 2 or 3, one of those 3, as long as he stays on the field. Everywhere else, though, is a question mark. Isaiah Pacheco, as a 7th round rookie last year, did fantastically well. Clyde Edwards-Helaire has not had his 5th round option picked up, and Jerick McKinnon has been brought in to take all those running back 3rd down reps. Elsewhere, who's he throwing to? Kadarius Toney was all signs were pointing to he was going to be the guy. Marcus Valdes-Scantling is still number 1 in their depth chart, and Sky Moore as a rookie didn't impress, but he was coming off some question marks whether he could actually play the position or whether he'd actually be a better cornerback. There's lots of questions there. Justin Watson did some fun things. Rashee Rice has been brought in as a rookie, probably their wide receiver 4, but the question mark is, who is it going to be thrown to? Oh wait, we know. Going to get thrown to Travis Kelce so much. I think even more so because it feels like outside of Kadarius Toney, there's pretty much a bunch of nobodies. But you know what? Patrick Mahomes can throw to anyone. We know that. He throws a very pretty spiral, and they will be good. On defense, they'll be okay. There's nothing to write home about. I don't think it's a particular strength of theirs. They will be relying heavily on the offense. And Harrison Butker will be a serviceable kicker once more this year. The Raiders are all changed, though. Yeah, they haven't got Derek Carr anymore. Fell out with him. Let Brian Hoyer take a couple of games under his belt where he did really good for fantasy. Really good, really well. Oh, I've forgotten how to speak English. Oh well. Yeah, Jimmy G will be okay, serviceable. He is just like Derek Carr, but throws less deep shots, which may or may not play well into Devontae Adams' hands. When Devontae Adams had his best play with Aaron Rodgers, he was taking dink and dunks. He was the guy who was on short yardage. I think he'll be good. Josh Jacobs will be fantastic no matter what. The wide receiver 2 is a question mark. It could be Jacoby Myers. I think it might be Jacoby Myers. They brought him in for that. Tight end, Austin Hooper is not Darren Waller. So I think we're going to see a lot more targets funnel to Devontae Adams, and he is going to be so good. So good. Elsewhere, Daniel Carlson is going to be great. The defense is not a strength, so I'm not relying on anything like that. So that's the Vegas Raiders. Sorry, it's Josh Jacobs and Devontae Adams, and you need a quarterback too. Sorry, you're picking up Jimmy G. The Chargers, however, is where this. I'm going to finish off with a really nice fantasy team. The Chargers have a lot of options, and I really like it. Justin Herbert is a top 5 QB. End of. He's going to a bunch of wide receiver 1s. End of. And the best running back in football for fantasy. Austin Eckler has not had anyone replace him. He's not had anyone drafted behind him. He will be fantastic. Keenan Allen, likewise, will be fantastic. Mike Williams will be fantastic if they are on the field. And that's where Quentin Johnson comes in. Keenan Allen and Mike Williams have spent too much time on the bench, and it's really difficult to rely on them week in, week out. Quentin Johnson will be, I think, he can play anywhere. He's a big-bodied guy. He's prototype, just like the other guys. He will be fantastic. Tight end, I'm not sure where it's going to go. Donald Parham was let go and then brought back. Gerald Everett's a bit undersized, but you've got 3 big guys at wide receiver. We'll see how it plays. They've invested a little bit on their front line, and Rashawn Slater was brilliant last year, so we'll see how that goes. They have improved a little bit in their secondary as well, so maybe they're going to be a bit more competitive in games and not have to rely on their offense. But they do have Kellen Moore as their new offensive coordinator, so I'm really interested to see how he plays out. Overall, really good team. Really like the Chargers, and you know what? I really like the AFC West a lot, and maybe they're going to be my favourite so far to speak about, because there's just a lot of options there when you're looking at it as a whole. So let's do the draft. QB, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, tight end, flex, kicker, defense, and rookie. It's going to be tough, but obviously the QB1 has got to be Mahomes. It's just got to be. Herbert, very close run race, but the Chargers do get an RB1 in Austin Eckler. Nadoy, but run closely behind is Josh Jacobs. I really like him. I think he's going to play great this year. The wide receiver 1, so many to pick from. It's going to be Adams. Wide receiver 2, I'm going to pick Keenan, just as PPR machine. He's more, probably a bit less boom bust than Mike Williams. Travis Kelce is the tight end 1, no matter which division he's in. Mike Williams is going to be my flex consideration. It could be Mike Williams. It could be Quentin Johnson. I think it's really good. McManus is going to be my kicker. I'm going to also stick with the Broncos for special teams. And my rookie, you know what? I'm going to put Quentin Johnson in there. So all 3 of the pass catchers, the main 3 pass catchers for Los Angeles Rams, sorry, misspoke there, are going to get a look in here. So just to run that back, that is going to be Mahomes, Eckler, Josh Jacobs, Adams, Keenan, Allen, Kelce, Mike Williams, McManus, Broncos, and Quentin Johnson. That team feels like it's going to be the best. But we'll see. Over on the other side, we will take a quick pause. We'll go and have a look at how the NFC West is dealing, and we'll join you in a second. Right, competition time, guys. Rules are on the screen as you see them now, but part 1 is we're trying to drive subscriptions to rugbywithpads.com. You can find all the information here, but for every single subscription you make, from £1 a month, you can get all the benefits like you would do on a normal Patreon. But as you go up, you can also get merch with it as well. And this is how we're selling our merch that you've seen me wearing during some of these YouTube videos as well. If you enter for as little as £1, you'll be entered into the competition. There's bonus entries for higher tiers as well. Now, we'll announce the winner of that on the pod once we've got a minimum of 10 subscribers, and then part 2 comes in. So get ready already. Go to youtube.com/rugbywithpads, click subscribe and comment on any of the videos. And there's a fair few. We bring out the videos at the same time as we do on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And you'll be entered into a competition to win either a t-shirt or a pop socket. It's free, but we must make sure that part 1 is won first. Let's drive that traffic over to rugbywithpads.com, and the draw announcements will be on the pod. I'll keep you updated with what we're doing and put some stuff on socials. Right, back to the pod. And we're back, and we're going to start off with the Arizona Cardinals, and we're not going to start strong. The Arizona Cardinals are not a good team this year. I think everyone's predicted them to be bottom. Power rankings, it's low. Predicted wins, I think less than 3. Kyler Murray is going to be out. Colt McCoy is a question mark. Who have they got coming in? Big questions there. I don't think we will see Kyler Murray this year. Sorry, John, who I know you've traded for him, but I think that's maybe a 2024 pickup for you. Maybe they're looking for Caleb Williams and potentially moving away from Kyler Murray. That would be big, but big new regime change. We'll see what's going on there. James Conner has definitely benefited from the offseason a little bit. No one's been brought in to replace him, which I think is really good. So we'll see how he works out. Deontay Ingram is an interesting second pickup, but maybe only in deep leagues. DeAndre Hopkins, big question marks there, because if he's being delivered to by Colt McCoy, it just brings everyone down, as does Marquise Brown, as does Rondale Moore. I think there's just as much likeliness that DeAndre Hopkins will get moved on this year. Potentially for the same thing that the Texans did. Maybe it's a second rounder for next year. I don't know. I think they're going to wait for the first couple of weeks to see how it goes. Michael Wilson is an interesting one if you're in keeper leagues or dynasty leagues, however. But outside of that, it's not looking great. I think Trey McBride will probably go over to Zach Ertz. I think he's just a bit too crocked. They've built up some nice pieces for next year, but it's not a good team. That's all I can say. And it's definitely not a good team for fantasy. I would be avoiding if I could, because there's too much uncertainty around the quarterback play, which means you can't reliably go forward with any of these players as you're in your key positions. Then we've got the San Francisco 49ers. This is a much better outlet. Look, but there's a lot of uncertainty still. Let's start with where there's not uncertainty. Christian McCaffrey will be good. Elijah Mitchell is probably one of the better running backups there is. So that's great. Samuel will be good. Singular. Brandon Ayuk will get his. George Kittle will have spike weeks. He won't be the tight end elite guy, but he will be a good tight end one in a position that fades off drastically. Where there is question marks is who's playing QB. It's Brock Purdy's to lose. I think Brock Purdy, if he can, will start the season. If not, I think Sam Darnold will probably start the season. Trey Lance is a backup. I think at the moment, I don't think he's a gadget player. He's someone they had a lot of faith in, but I don't think they've got enough faith in now. I think a lot will change, however, when we get to training camp, and we'll get a bit more of an insight into what this team's actually going to look like. Their defense is going to be great, and they're probably going to be one of the better systems in the league. They picked up so many good guys, and they picked up Jake Moody. Jake Moody as a third round. Was he picked 99 or something like that? Yeah, picked 99 in the third round. He is a kicker to replace Robbie Gould, and he will probably be my pick for kicker moving forwards as well in the NFC West when we do our little fancy draft. The Seattle Seahawks, great team. I think my dark horse to win this division, because I think although the 49ers are great, they are foundationally great, the Seahawks have improved massively. Geno Smith was great. If he can be anywhere close to what he was last year, they'll be fine. At wide receiver, the addition of Jackson Smith and Jigba only elevates DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. I don't think he takes anything away from them. If anything, he's a long-term replacement for Tyler Lockett, but with Tyler Lockett entering his age 32, 31 season. There we are. He's not quite as old as me. But DK Metcalf is the guy they're going to funnel stuff to, but they're going to run the ball, and that's why they brought Zach Charbonnet. Zach Charbonnet does damage the value of Kenneth Walker a little bit, who was the guy last year. But you saw DJ Dallas, you saw Rashard Penny a bit last year, and Kenneth Walker was still great. He still was, I want to say 1,000 yards. He was 1,050 yards on the ground. So he was absolutely fantastic last year, and I'm really interested to see him progress. Second year running backs are great. He benefited from the rookie position. He probably reads the game a bit better now, and I think the way they're tooled up, they're going to be better. But the Seattle Seahawks defense is really where they've improved. They've improved their secondary massively, and you'll see already in all of the power rankings, they're moving at the board. Just from a couple of acquisitions in that secondary, they are getting a lot better. Elsewhere though, we'll move on to, because there's not much more to talk about the Seattle Seahawks. You know, DK Metcalf is good. You know, Tyler Lockett's good. You know, Jackson Smith and Jigba is going to be good. Geno Smith's solid. Kenneth Walker's brilliant. Where there's a lot of uncertainty, I'm going to talk about my team, the Los Angeles Rams. I don't know what I'm thinking this year. I'm thinking this is where we should have tanked properly last year, but we didn't have the picks to tank for. We're tanking again this year, and it's not really tanking. It's maybe just retooling, maybe. But when you see on the board Ben Skoranek as your wide receiver 2, it just hurts. It hurts my heart a little bit. So Matt Stafford, we don't know if he's going to be good or not. We don't know, but they've got a great backup in Stetson Bennett, who I think is mature enough, despite some of the things coming out. They obviously really liked him, and I think maybe he could be the future. We'll have to see. At the very least, he's a decent bridge quarterback until we get someone who we know we can truly rely on. Cam Akers, again, this is weird. In, out of the lineup. He played his last ever snap and then came back and played great. And then it's weird. Kyron Williams didn't impress last year. I think he only got 45 touches last year. Zach Evans is a late round rookie. Great, but here you got sprinkled with rookies in quite high end. But Puka Nacua here, I think he was a 7th rounder or 5th rounder. Sorry, yeah, so not quite that bad. But he's maybe going to be the Robert Woods sweep guy. But what you've got here is a system set of players, but no one really who stands out as being the number one, except of course Cooper Kupp. If Cooper Kupp and Matt Stafford can join up again, they will be fantastic once more. Tyler Higbee will have to try hard to reinvent himself back into the previous version. No, sorry, not reinvent. Go back to the previous version of himself where he was a tight end one. I like the improvements on the line, but I don't think this is a team that I'm really targeting, except you can get Cooper Kupp for cheap because he's aging a little bit. He must be nearly 30. Yeah, he's entering his age 30 season. There's questionable quarterback play. If you can get him cheap a little bit, he's potentially got a lot in the tank still. I think he's a wily player. Everywhere else, it's looking grim. I'm not looking towards anyone on the defense. I'm not looking to anyone on the special teams. It's grim. It's grim. Yes, they did pick up that they drafted both a kicker and a punter, and Tanner Brown and Ethan Evans together, but it's just not looking fantastic for the Rams. So maybe they are my pick outside the Arizona Cardinals to lose it all. I think this is not going to be a competitive division at the bottom, but I do think the Seattle Seahawks and the 49ers will do very well. So let's take a quick look at the lineups that we're going to be taking forward for the NFC. Tough room, but let's take Stafford because I don't really trust Purdy yet. We're going to take CMC as being an obvious, potentially even 101 candidate this year. Ken Walker, nice story. I really like that, so I'm going to take Ken Walker there. DK Metcalf is the wide receiver 1 in the entire NFC West. Cooper Kupp, I think, is probably a close second there. Kittle, yeah, I think Kittle is the tight end of choice if I was to make that in the NFC West. D Hop is fantastic, so he's going to be my flex when he's playing and if he plays in this league, but in this division, not sure whether he will. We'll go with my man Myers as a kicker for the Seahawks. The 49ers, I think, are the best best defense. The Seahawks have yet to prove it, even though they're massively improved. But Jackson Smith and Jigba, probably the best value in the draft. He's going to be my rookie pick. So we're going to take that through. So we've got Stafford, CMC, Walker, DK, Cup, Kittle, D-Hop, Myers, 49ers, and JSN as my fancy picks for the NFC West. Let's pit them up against each other, shall we? Well, I think we have the biggest difference in play between any divisions that we've had so far. Whereas before we've had them quite close, even with the bad divisions. This one, I think, is writings on the wall for the NFC West, despite my love for them so much. I think just because there's so much of a gap at probably the most important position that you need in your team at quarterback. Well, maybe not for your fancy team, but in football in general. Obviously, QB, Mahomes takes it by a landslide. At running back, I'm going to split it between Eckler and CMC. They are a 101, 102 potent combination. Adams versus DK, I think I'm going to split it again. It's split between the two of them. Kelsey obviously takes it for the AFC. I think I'd probably rather DeAndre Hopkins with the possibility of being a wide receiver one at my flex. This has all moved it around a little bit. Definitely dropped Cooper Kupp there, which is very surprising. I don't like that at all. McManus takes it as a kicker. 49ers take it. Yeah, to take it on the defensive side, I think over the Broncos. I just think they're a better coached setup. And Jackson Smith and Jigba is probably going to be rookie of the year. So it's 5 for 5. So it all comes down to the fact that the AFC West is overflowing with decent rookies, and I think Patrick Mahomes is definitely going to be the guy, regardless. And I think this agrees with it. I think that the big letdown for the NFC West theme team here is the quarterback with Matthew Stafford coming off a injury marred season. Let's see what Patrick Mahomes can do in this fantasy lineup. And that's the lot then, guys. Thank you once again for listening to this. This is the final episode of our point series. We might revisit this mid-year because now we've got a rhythm to it. We're doing an episode about 25, 30 minutes. A couple of hours of content coming into your mid-season. Hopefully you might enjoy that. And maybe before the start of the season, we'll just do a bit of a recap, any chops and changes that might happen. And you know what? We'll do a bit of a fancy bracket. Let's do that. So you'll hear that in sometime in the preseason. Thanks once again for listening. You probably heard the mid-roll about the competition, so please do enter that with your chance to win some merch, which I'm not wearing today. I'm just wearing a normal civilian t-shirt. But there's stuff to be won there, and it's help support the podcast and what we're trying to do here, which is just get more people interested in fantasy football from a British perspective. Thanks once again for listening. I'll stop grandstanding, and I will see you all on the virtual gridiron.